the Horde of the, what am I thinking? Chaos to ruin his powers. So let's go over my list and what I got and why I was thinking it. So I got Azog the Slaughterer, and on him I have Aspect of the Dread Knight, because I had some luck with using that with the Chariot. He seemed to be able to break units if you can rear charge and cause terror and just keep mowing down the units. Spirit Leech and Fate of Una, and of course you have the Spider Banner. I like Azog in this matchup because every time I fight off against Chaos, they always seem to bring Kolek and a Shaggoth. So he does a lot of business because he's 480, he does poison damage, charge of 80. Azog's a beast, and we're going to see that there's a couple people who are going to want none of this action. So I got 3 big ones because I know eventually whatever the Chaos player brings, he's going to bring some big nasty monster who's going to punch through my front line, and I can send my big ones to go and stop them. I had the Chariots, the Rusty Arrows, and just some regular Goblins, and they're just going to be used to pin things down. So the Goblins normally can't really do much. Their missile damage says 16, but I think it's actually lower. Yeah, it's only 11, but we do have a slightly faster rate, but the Rusty Arrows in conjunction to it will actually let Goblins kind of rip things down. I have a little Goblin Big Boss just to run around and be annoying, and then 2 Black Orcs and Biggins and a Giant. Up front, I'm already starting to harass. I got the Moorherd's Mage and Marauders and just some Forest Goblin Spider Riders. I like the Moorherd Mage and Marauders because they got the high AP and they can really start pinging away, just kind of taking little units away. And then the Forest Goblin Spider Riders are nice because they can poison. So anytime you need to get a unit away, they can poison it and kind of pull back. So he's got the Chaos Warhounds that are with poison. It's Aspiring Champions to help hold his line. And then on the flanks, he has, what is these, Halberds, some great weapons, Kolek, which we all knew was coming, and a Shaggoth, and the Lore of Shadows. I know the Lore of Shadows is pretty popular in this matchup because Orcs tend to bunch up a lot, so people like to get in that Pit of Shades, or they like to hit them with the, what am I trying to think of? The Pendulum. That's the word I'm looking for. So right now we're just pinging away. I see that he has no Marauders, so there's nothing keeping me honest. Even if he just had 1 unit of Marauders, it would force me to be honest about my choices, but I don't have to, so I can just come over here and I can start whittling away Kolek, because really he's kind of the biggest danger, because anytime I land, he's the one that's going to put out the damage. So another thing here is I take my units off skirmish mode, and so he sends in these hounds. So what I'm going to do, you can see the lines when I hold down space, I'm pulling them through my lines, because I'm hoping that he just kind of fires and forgets, so as they come in, they'll get caught up. But he is paying attention, so I'm going to have to start pulling them away. So the engagement's about to happen, and he does have a wider front than me, so he's going to get a little bit of overlap. Let's kind of move it over here. So he's going to get a little bit of overlap in there, but that's okay. So now the front lines are engaging, and I want to make sure my troops are on there. So I shift my battle line just a little bit, because really I want to get rid of these halberds so I can land without any real worries. So I shift my battle line. That way he can only flank on one side. So you can see that I've denied his wraparound on my left flank, and I can go ahead and take my back line and I can shift him over to stop him there. So now I'm just plinging away, getting some damage in. He does double up on my giant, which I kind of knew was expected, but unfortunately I get a little bit past where I would need him to be. I would really like my giant to be fighting right there. Let's move back just a little bit. And this is where he messes up, because his little Chaos Force is going to want none of this hot goblin action. And you're going to see that goblin's going to beat the ever-living chaos out of him. But he does get this great pendulum here on my front line, breaks the center. But luckily I have all these other orc biggins just to start to plug the gap. So over here you can see I'm starting to plug in the holes so he can't get around. I'm just plinking away. I had them left on skirmish mode so they wouldn't keep moving up and around, because originally I wanted them to come up and over and start harassing them in the back. So I'm using my troops to kind of plug up the center here. My giant's not really getting great action, but he's doing what he can. So you can see these goblins already beating everything snot out of it. Agzog comes in. The sorcerer's gone, but he is poisoned because both Agzog and the Goblin Big Bob poisoned, so he's not going to get away, and that Goblin's just going to rack up a kill. Now over here, I went ahead and cast Aspect of the Dread Knight, because my thoughts were if I can just go down this line and start breaking the leadership, it'll be it's going to be pretty advantageous, because once they break, I'm going to get nothing but free hits. So let's see how that kind of works out. We'll just keep an eye on this little engagement over here. So Kolek comes in here and he starts beating the crap out of these goblins, which I don't really care, they're goblins. But I am going to start splitting them out in every direction. So he has to deal with it. So Moorherd Mage and Marauders are going to get in here and really start harassing Kolek, and he can't really do much about it. Once again, I left them on skirmish mode, so I can't get them up and around, but I did use Agzog to come in here and terrify these Chaos with halberds, just to go ahead and wrap up this one flank. So balance of power is still pretty steady. Nothing really to report here so far, but so Kolex is using his mass and pushing through these Dragon Ogre Shaggoths, and I'm just trying to get my goblins out and about. But you can tell that anytime you're playing, it's a little difficult to manage everything at the same time. Oh, sorry, that was the Shaggoth. The other Kolek we got down to half-life just from Archer Fire alone. So keep that in mind. This is kind of, don't underestimate the Goblin Archer Fire. And since I figure I'm safe over here with Agzog, I'll leave him over here. And as you can see, Agzog just putting into the hurt on this Dragon Ogre Shaggoth. And the moment they start turning around for Agzog, I go through my line and I'll pick back up. Back here, I finally got off my... I guess weak micro game and finally got these goblins around to the other side. And now this is something I thought I was going to try. Now I misclicked, but I was going to put aspect of the Dread Knight on them and then rear charge into the the Chaos Warriors, just to cause a massive terror rout. However, I think I accidentally put the Mangy Marauders on it to melee. But anyway, so you can see they're going to come in here. Let's see if you can see that their leadership is already dropping. So let's see if the terror effect had anything to do with that. So we got in here, and frightened by enemy units. That's a -10, which is enough to break those units. So those Spider Riders go in there and frighten off 2 units, and because they cause terror, they're immune to the terror caused by the Shaggoth. So I think that's pretty funny. If I had a little group of 400 or 500 point Spider Riders rout off 2 groups of Chaos Warriors. Now I'm getting a little cocky over here, since all he has is the Chaos Warriors, but he has nothing to really stop me. So I'm just going to go in here with Agzog and just kind of be a boss and just kind of push him around, bully him. So now he has kind of spilled through my back line, so he is getting a little Goblin Squad, but you know, they're 375 resources. They're nothing really to be concerned about. I'm trying to pin them his halberds with my, or Biggins, and meanwhile the Mangy Marauders just picking away, just harassing anything he can. He's trying to get this Chariot, which to his benefit has racked up 86 kills, all being Chaos Warriors with great weapons. So it's more than it paid for itself, taking out almost an entire unit. You can see that because I was over here being a little cocky, I can just scare off these halberds. So I pop, Wag and stand your ground, walk through my own unit again, and I'm going to pick up and go. And meanwhile, Kolex is taking fire from all these engagements. So the rest of my units are running away, but I have a very healthy Agzog the Slaughterer. And I do have a little bit of Chariot action still going on here. But really, there's not much Kolek can do. He's over here. I still have Spirit Leeches going down, still whittling him away. So now I'm just trying to figure out where can I just pick him apart the most. So, what spell is this going down here? Oh, it's Kolek Storm. Didn't even notice. So now I do have a little bit of ammunition left on my Spider Riders, the Terror Routers. And I do have the Rusty Airs, and you can see the Rusty Airs. I want to get into the back of here because I think Agzog's going to be able to come down here and just put the hurt on these 2. And I want to go ahead and start getting away their leadership. So once again, anytime he leaves me alone, hit, pull through, and there's nothing he can do about it. So he's staying kind of in this little pocket, which is fine. I did turn the Mangy Marauders onto melee mode because they're out of ammunition. And so now I'm just sending them after anything that's routing or has very low leadership. He comes in after Agzog the Slaughter, which is a big mistake on his part. Kolek is just not fast enough to deal with it. And at this point, Kolek has 1,200 hit points and 65 on the Shaggoth. The Shaggoth's just not going to survive. As soon as Agzog gets in there, he's just going to put the hurt on him. So let's back up here. We can see a little bit here. So I'm just kind of keeping his guys isolated and just moving around the outside just to kind of keep them hemmed in. So let's zoom back in here. You can see, we missed it, but Agzog came in there, bam, like 2-shotted Kolek. He's going to pop back up, and then I'm going to turn around. One nice thing is with the Spider Banner is that Agzog can hit, poison, and whenever the unit he poisoned won't have the speed to catch him usually. So the Rusty Air is gunning down the other Shaggoth, and you can see that Shaggoth and Kolek kind of best friends for life, just hanging out here, and that's going to be all she wrote. All right, so let's end it here and let's take a little look before we go into game 2. So we got the, let's look at my opponent's side first. So I agree with the choice of the Poison Warhounds. Just He wasn't up with his micro because I kept splitting off in so many directions that I think he just forgot about his Warhounds. And his front line just weren't really able to stand and bang for whatever reason. It was kind of underwhelming kills, but a great number of kills on his house with halberds. I wonder if they just got into the goblins. And a decent performance out of his commander and the Shaggoth. So over here on my side, the giant got put down early. A great job out of the goblins. I know it doesn't say they got much kills, but they really just they ripped in the Kolek and the Shaggoth. And the Moorherd Manger Marauders, those two are doing okay, but just kind of picking off and just targeting. I spent a lot of my resources on their Kolek and the Shaggoth. And then my front line, kind of okay performance on my big uns. We expected that with his large monsters and heavy armor. And my Black Orcs did a pretty good job. Well, one of them did a good job, the other one not so much. And a great performance out of my Boar Chariots. And then Agzog the Slaughter just going around putting the hurt. So let's go ahead and jump into game 2, and we'll talk a little bit about that. All right, welcome back. I actually recorded this battle and the next one already, but I kind of, I guess the sound got screwed up. So I'm going to re-record it real quick. So you see I'm going to have Grimgor here leading his little yellow Bad Moon soldiers out here. And I have my kind of standard build. When I'm not really sure what I want to do, I just have a standard build with my Black Orcs and then Big Uns interspersed. I got my little Goblin hit squad here with the Rusty Arrows. There's some regular Night Goblins for some poison action, and then some regular little Goblin action. You're going to see a little bit later. When they do get a hold of something, they're going to drop it pretty quick. I got some Boar Boy Big Uns back here, and I took them just in case he has any little tree or he has some Wild Riders to kind of sneak up on me. I got a little unit of, what are these? Wolf Riders and the Moon Howlers way in the back. And something I've encountered a lot lately is Wood Elf players will take Deepwood Scalps and they'll put them right here, and they'll have them facing that way, right? So they immediately just start running them and they start peppering your lines. So what I've been doing with a lot of success is I've just been putting little Night Goblins out here because they can also forward deploy and they're hidden. So usually the other player can't even see the Night Goblins, and then the Night Goblins will be right on top of them. And if he doesn't put the what I'm trying to think of, the Deepwood Scouts out there or the Way Watchers, the Goblins can just run back and scurry back to my lines. Let's go over my opponent's list. So he's got one flank that's Eternal Guard, one flank that's Azrai Spears, and then the center is being held up by Wildwood Rangers. And he has 4 units of Deepwood Scouts, and then 1 unit of Clay Guard with Hagbane tips. So I'm not sure what he was going for. It's kind of not necessarily what I would have done. I think he needed a little bit more mobility because the Orcs kind of don't really have that fast of troops, and the troops that do have that are quick are just the Wolf Riders, and Wild Riders will just beat the snot out of them. I also think he needed like 1 or 2 just War Dancers, just regular ones, so they can pop up their little defense ability. I'll give him, I think, 54 defense, which will really shut down the Orcs. So I see his army, and so now I'm making my plan. My plan is this. We're going to take this army, or this force, and we're going to shove it forward right down this pipe, right? And then let's take the Boar Big Uns, and we'll shove it down this way, which will force him to kind of just be stuck like this. It'll just be kind of this little concave because he won't be able to retreat that way, and he won't be able to retreat to the right or to the left. He's going to have to come down here, which his forces are faster than mine, so I just want to be able to kind of cone them in. So over here I have the Moon Howlers just waiting, and as soon as I see that these are exposed, you're going to see that I go ahead and I give the Moon Howlers an order to come back here and start harassing Deepwood Scouts. Now I could get more kills if I waited, but really I want to shut them down before they can get to my Orc Big Uns. But right here is, once again, a very underutilized spell, which is the Night Shroud. You can see minus 30% accuracy. So as they fire, let's do it over here in these Orc Big Uns. So you can see that very few are actually like landing on their target. Here's another little volley. Let's see this look. So it looks like you only got 1, 2, 3 Orcs maybe with out of 20 shots that actually connected. So that's something definitely worth thinking about. So he does Prayer Almaria over here on Grimgor, which I think is a waste. He should have popped it on these Orc Big Uns and just completely focused fire and just knocked them out of the park. Because over here, this is already a lost battle on his part. He has nothing to do. These Eternal Guard shields are not going to be able to hold up against these Black Orcs. And then over here, once again, his Eternal Guard, these Night Goblins are just going to be too much for him. So now that I've pulled out his resources away, and my overboard Big Uns are getting caught here in the woods by these War Dancers, but that's okay because the not Moorherd Manger Marauders, the Moon Howlers are able to get in here, and the other group was able to get in here, not doing a lot of damage, but I don't know. They were able to tie up. They're only 300 resources, and personally, I think they're the best unit in the game. For what you pay, you get a lot of utility out of them. The only reason I brought the Moonhound is I had the extra points. I don't know. Why not? They did rack up 21 kills, and they do have a fairly decent stats for a 500-point unit that moves, I think, 90. What's their speed? 96? What is it? Well, there's poison. We can look later. It's not important. So back on over here, you can see that this flank is completely collapsed. I think what he should have done, as soon as he saw like my big massive force, drop back here, or at least drop back into the forest, and then pull these Deepwood scouts up and around, or at least here, and just start harassing me from the flank. He's just trying to use his forces to go, because as it is now, I'm just engaging him piecemeal, and you can see that the orcs are just collapsing through. So good on him that he's finally starting to focus down these black orcs, but it's going to be a little too late as Grimgor and the rest start coming up and around. And I think I drop another Night Shroud. Yep, I drop another Night Shroud. And let's go ahead and look, see if it's really making any connection, because I don't really see any arrows connecting after that initial hit. So he stood his ground and tried to stand and bang, which I'm not really sure what he was thinking. And let's go back over here. So you can see the goblins start opening fire. And in about 5 seconds, they have already dropped this branch wraith down to half-life, and because it has 0 armor now, thanks to the rusty arrows, and it's poisoned, so it can't move. So it's just getting completely hammered, taken off the field. Meanwhile, over here, he is winning this kind of engagement, but I didn't really have the proper tools to deal with this. So I keep trying to take my war boys and bring it up and around. And what I think he should have done is taken one group of war spears here and one group of spears here. And then the other one could have just gone and reinforced the fight over here. And as he takes his Deepwood scouts and just pick me away. As it stands now, he's focusing on the rusty arrows, thinking they're a big threat. But really the threat that he needs to watch out for is more Goblin Wolf Riders. Oops. These Goblin Wolf Riders are just so good at what they do and just coming in. But over here you can see my plan working, because as he moves, I'm funneling him into the corner of the map. And really he has nowhere to go, because I think this is the corner. I had the debug on. His Wildwood Rangers did manage to kill off the Moonhowlers, but really, who cares? The Moonhowlers got half his value, and it already disrupted all his fire. So now I'm just kind of looking for a home for these goblins to shoot at. They are picking away these war dancers. You can see they've dropped them down from 15 armor to 0, which isn't great, but they are taking a lot of fire from these goblins. And since I have nothing left here, it doesn't really matter, and they're just being poisoned, so they can't get away. So their speed's all the way down to 29 versus my troops at 31. So because of the little night goblin, I'm going to be able to catch all the the war dancers. So over here, you can see what I'm doing here is what he should have done. I have this one unit of Orpigans, and I was moving him here just to block, and I'm going to use them to engage anything that tries to come up and take away my little goblin firing squad. And you can see the Goblin Firing Squad just going to town, just dropping down these Rangers. And I'm going to be able to block and then focus fire on the other group before they get to them. Meanwhile, over here, the Black Orcs finally reach these Wildwood Rangers, and they're just completely collapsing everything he has. And then these War Dancers, yes, they're beating the little 400-point Goblins, but now we got more Goblins coming up behind them. And they're just being pinned down, and I'm just going for army loss at this point. He could, if he wanted to take his lord and just keep running, keep kiting. But where's he going to go? Because everything else he has is just completely collapsing. So let's go ahead and run forward. You're going to see that he pins down the big guns, which I'm not really sure why he did that. It's at this point, I guess it doesn't really matter. He should have pinned down something like these Black Orcs if he's going to shoot at them. He sends his lord in here to fight off these rusty arrows, but at this point, it just doesn't matter. It's kind of over. So let's take a little look at the breakdown. What went well and what went bad. So let's take a look at my side first. So I like to pick the little goblin, night goblins. Okay kills, nothing great, but they did take the brunt of all his missile fire, and so did this one unit of Orc Biggins. I stand by my choice of the Orc Boar Boy Biggins, because had he brought trees, I really needed an answer to shut them down. And everything, I think overall, everything performed rather well on my side. Everything kind of worked. He fell into the plan that I wanted, and I was able to dictate the pace of the battle. Over here on his side, kind of okay performances, but you gotta remember, like, a lot of these kills were against like this scrubs, just nothing worthwhile. So he didn't really perform that great. He finally got some work done on the Black Orcs with his Wildwood Rangers. My Black Orcs did okay. I think if I were to redo this, I might drop the black orcs and just go for more orc biggins or even orc boys with shields, just anything to kind of help me push through. All right, and let's go to the last one where you face off against the... All right, and welcome to the third game. You can see here we have a little Night Goblin Shaman. I have him completely stripped down. The only ability he has is the, what is it called? Tricky Traps? No, Bad Moon, what's this thing called? Sneaking Stealing. So you can see reduced power recharge rate, and against the undead, I think this is a must. If he's completely stripped down, he only costs, I think 203 points. Nothing really serious. So let's go over my army list and pick why I have the choices. So I'm not sure, I don't remember the exact rate that he reduces the recharge, but I think it's basically instead of getting 1 every 6 winds of magic, you're getting 1 every 12, which in this matchup is going to be pretty useful. I got Azog the Slaughterer because it'll give me the ability to go around Spirit Leech and Fate of Buna, things I want to do. And as you saw in the Chaos game, Azog the Slaughterer just beats the ever-living poop out of things. And then I had my standard line. I had no reason to really change it this matchup because I wanted to immune the psychology of the Black Orcs, and I wanted the big guns just to be able to work their way through any kind of fodder, because big guns you do see have a 42 strength, and they have a 50 versus large creatures. So any kind of crit pores he's going to come in there, I'm going to be able to beat the snot out. I have 2 giants because I wanted the giants to be able to get in there and just do their damage. And then I just have the AP Loonies and another group of big guns. And the reason I have the AP Loonies is they're unbreakable. And I didn't bring any mobile force or range forces after the mangy marauders because I just didn't want to deal with the zombie spam. Over here, you can see he's a standard vampire lord, which he probably has Winds of Death. It's pretty common. No, he doesn't. Looks like he just has the what is it? Invocation of the Heck. Over here, he's got a Blood Knight and a Necromancer. It looks like his Necromancer is just bringing the standard Ray Skeletons and Invocation. He has a front line of spears, which I started to get worried about because I figured, he knew I was going to bring some big scary monsters. So he kind of has a plan. He has his 3 groups of Crypt Horrors and some Direwolves and some Black Knights. So the battle starts off. I'm trying to send the Major Marauders over here to harass the Blood Knights. And he comes in actually wanting to fight the Major Marauders, but I just took him off skirmish mode and just ran them past, which is fine. And now I'm going to run him towards my line because I want this Vampire Lord to get near Azog, because this Vampire Lord is not going to want anything to do with Azog. So go ahead and pop that Spirit Leash, make him start using up his Winds of Magic now. If I can start making him reduce his Winds of Magic, he's not going to be able to start summoning zombies to get him at those rear charges and flanks. So he comes over here. I'm like, is this guy for real? Is he coming in close? All right, well, if that's the way he wants to play. Now he makes it. Now this is where he fucks up. I guess he thinks that the Vampire Lord can step up to Azog the Slaughterer, but you can see that he's going to want none of this. Azog the Slaughterer will beat the shit out of any Vampire Lord. They have no hope against him. So he's coming in here, and I'm able to poison him. So now that he's poisoned, let's go ahead and take a look here. Now that he's poisoned, his speed is down to 80 versus Azog the Slaughterer speed. I went ahead and boosted, but base I think he's 85. So now that I was able to get the poison in there, that Vampire Lord doesn't even have the option of getting away. Meanwhile, I just turned my troops on to walk because what's the point in running and being tired if I don't have to be? And then more Major Marauders are coming over here and just plinking away at these Blood Knights. No kills yet, but they're going to start getting some model counts. Let's go ahead and turn that off. So you can, as we turn away for all of 10 seconds, you can see that Vampire Lord has just gotten the ever-living shit kicked out of him. And I'm like, well, if he wants to play that game, very well. And he comes back in here. I don't know if it's a misclick or what, but Azog is just going to get you. And I'm just going to go ahead and pop another Spirit Leech. Meanwhile, I keep running my more Mangy Marauders back here, trying to just trap his guys. But he decides he doesn't want any of this hot action and just flies off. And now his Lord has completely reached his thing. And he does use Vanhar's Dance to try to get away from Azog, but he was close enough for the Spirit Leech. I popped it. And I guess he assumed he might as well get the damage done on Azog while he can. So there's another pile for the corpses that Azog has went ahead and got. So now I'm trying to push my initiative while he still has it. So I'm going to start giving the order. And what I do is I click everyone, hold shift, move up. So now everyone's moving, and then I'm going to start targeting away. Because that way, if I just kind of move, then give orders, it's going to have like a broken line of engagement. So he has his Mortis Engine out there in the open, so let's send in the Goblin Big Boss to try to just pin it down, and then the 2 Giants just to beat the snot out of it. And he sends in his Crypt Horrors to fight the Giants. That's just not the engagement they're going to want. The Giants will beat the snot out. He wants those Crypt Horrors on these Black Horse. So what he should have done It's just, oh, my sound was acting a little wonky here. Let's go ahead and just drop that. All right, let's get back to it. What I think he should have done is taken his spears, pushed them in, taken the crypt horrors and gone this way, and also used what forces he had left and made like a little concave here, and kept the mortis engine right in that center. And that way he could have harassed my troops and kept buffing up his. So over here, I got a little zealous with Agzog, came down, and that was about 2 hits. I already dropped that Necromancer to half, so I'm pulling him away from this combat where all the spears are. And I'm trying to use my biggins to try to hold it. I was worried that he was going to take his Blood Knights and come in here. But now that the spears have gone away, I went ahead and turned around to start smashing down the Necromancer. But since he ran, I decided to go ahead and just take the flight and start moving. So let's go ahead and hit fast forward a little bit while we get things going. And he's kind of fallen into a trap right here. So yes, he pushed through the Orc Biggins, but I do have the Egg Peak Loonies, and you can see that they're trapped now. So I have this side, and this. Well, let's go ahead. I have all of this trapped, and he only has one way out. And I'm going to start taking these Orc Boar Biggins to go in here. But he keeps kind of cycle charging back and forth, and as he does that, I'm just able to kind of just send more and more troops to keep him pinned in here. And this is exactly what I want, because he won't be able to get his charges in there. And we'll do some business now. So over here, I do take Azog the Slaughter, and I get a little overzealous because I think I can get this Necromancer, but he does pull out his Crypt Horrors and start doing some work on me. But I do have the Giants in backup. I'm trying to get them over here on these Crypt Horrors because I'm just not getting the damage I would have liked to have on that Mortis engine. But everything else he has is completely collapsing. And the AP Loonies have successfully pinned in his Blood Knight. So now they're crumbling. They're attacked on both sides. He lost his leader. He's lost his Necromancer is about to go away. But Agzog's going to be able to get away because he is faster. I poisoned them. He poisoned me. So it kind of cancels out, and I get back to the air. Meanwhile, the Meiji Marauders are still just going to town. Only 8 kills, but they've all been Blood Knights. So I'll take that exchange any day. Just keep leaking away and let the other units just kind of do their business. And at this point, it's just kind of a mass rout, so we'll just go ahead and just kind of get a nice little overview of what's going on. And you can see he just didn't have that pocket that he needed to really kind of do his business. And he kept his Mortis engine a little too steady for my liking. I think he had the right army. I think he just engaged in the wrong thing. Sending his Crypt Horrors against the Giant was a mistake. I don't know why he got so close to Agzog. Maybe he didn't realize the power of the Agzog. But let that be a lesson to you. Just stay away from Agzog the Slaughterer, because he'll get you. So let's take a look at my forces first. Everything did pretty well, kind of exactly what I wanted it to, and did where it was to go. And Big Boss, the only one not doing great, but that's okay. He gave everyone a leadership buff. And then over here for Corsby, I like his build. I think it's just kind of misutilized. Maybe drop the Black Knights with Lances. But everything else, I think it was pretty good. So well played on his part. It's just that early mistake.